Hello everybody and welcome to another cigar review. You'll be watching this on a Tuesday, and which means we've got a nice full length cigar for you tonight. And I have some wine. Lovely red wine. I'm drinking a Bordeaux in a brandy glass because I don't actually have a good wine glass. Brandy glass works fine. This is a 2021 Bordeaux from Piedra Merlot Cab Sauv blend. Got it from Aldi. It was meant to be £10, got it for £5. It's a £10 bottle of wine, so it's a nice drink. I'm about halfway through a bottle. It's lovely, but we're not here to review wine, and I probably won't ever review wine. I've not got the taste buds for it. I'm a whiskey man, but I do love a wine. We're here to review a cigar, and we have a nice Cuban cigar here today. This is a cigar from Jose El Piedra, so a more value option Cuban perhaps. This is the Jose El Piedra Petit Caballeros, I believe. There is the cigar. This is a, if I just quickly look on my thing I have here, it's a 4 3/2, 4 3/4, 3/2. Bloody hell, the wine's getting to me. 4 3/4 by 48 ring gauge. It's known as a Hermoso Especial because I think a Hermoso is a 5. So it's a slightly smaller Hermoso. Jose El Piedra are a brand I'm very well acquainted with. I have smoked probably 100 Jose El Piedras in my time smoking cigars, perhaps more. I've probably smoked about 50 of the Cazadores. I've probably smoked about 50 of the Petit Cazadores, I believe is the I've smoked about 10 or 20 of the Brevas. I've smoked about 10 of the Cetros, the Petit Cetros, which I think are a great value cigar. And I've smoked a couple of Conservas. Now this size, the Petit Caballeros, this size cigar is the most expensive in the Jose El Piedra range. Now, from my favourite supplier of cigars online in the UK, GQ, we can see that they're costing £12.50. Now you compare that to the other lines, so you can get the Conservas, which are a 6 by 40. No, the Conservas are a 5.5 by 44. It is the Cazadores that are a 6 by 43, I believe. Now they're even cheaper. The Cazadores sit at £12. The Conservas at £12.10. These are £12.50. Now, for those who aren't familiar with Jose El Piedra, they are one of 3 widely distributed short filler brands in Cuba. There is these guys. There is Quintero and Guantanamera. There is another short filler brand, Floricano. They make the El Gidos is a short filler cigar, one of my favourite cigars as well, to be quite honest. I think it's just superb value for money. I think it's a slightly step above these short filler cigars, but this is a similar size, a very similar size to the El Gidos. I've never had it before, so I might be eating my words by the time we get to the end of this cigar. These use short filler. These use short filler all from the Remedios region. All the tobacco, the filler, binder, and wrapper are all from the Remedios region, which used to be called Vuelta Arriba in Cuba. The Spanish term for these is Tripa something. I'm looking now. Tripa corta, totalmente a mano, which means short filler, totally handmade. Because these are hand-rolled cigars, but they use short filler, which keeps the prices low. They are to my knowledge, the kind of quintessential. They're basically kind of a branded version of the type of cigar that your average Cuban probably smokes. Your average like cheap cigar on the street is probably short filler because it's a lot cheaper to get than long filler leaves, and it will be hand rolled, and that's what these are. Now, I've not had a Piedra for a while. I remember them being reasonably strong cigars. You can buy a box of these. They come in boxes of 3. And a box of 3, I believe, is somewhere around £40, £39, I think. Online and in other places. You can get them in boxes of 12. Little boxes of 12, and they come at £150-ish. On this other website, Smoke King, that I'm looking at. Let's get this cup. Let's see what the draw's like. I'm hoping for a good draw. I've had mixed draw on these in the past, not this one in particular, just Piedras. I'm hoping a slightly larger ring gauge should mean a good draw, and I'm hoping that that because it's been sat in my 62% Cuban humidor for a couple of weeks now, it should be all right. Let's test this draw. Good. Totally, nothing wrong with that draw. Nothing wrong with that draw. Now, I do have my torch lighters here, but I'm gonna use the Jeep soft flame to light this because I've not used a soft flame for a while. And I find a soft flame can help a lot of the time, give a better smoke than torch flames can, especially with Cuban cigars. I don't know what it is. I think maybe the tobacco is a bit more. What's the word? I don't want to say weaker. I don't want to say it's weaker tobacco. That's not what I mean. It's not as tough as New World tobacco a lot of the time. So we will use the tip of the flame of the Jeep lighter, and we will get this lovely little Cuban cigar lit. I'm looking forward to this. This is the, I smoke Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays. Saturday's video obviously goes up on Tuesday. Tuesday's video goes up on Thursday, and then Thursday I tend not to make a video because I'm generally out. The smoking I do on Thursday normally goes up on a short on the channel somewhere. Let's get the centre of this lit. Oh, I'm looking forward to this. I really am. I've not used a soft flame in a while. There is something nice about using a soft flame, feeling the heat off it. Really nice medium flavour straight away. And I think that's the reason I kind of like these cigars, and we'll have a little talk about Cuban cigars flavour profile in a minute. But let's take a first full puff of this Petit Caballeros. This Petit Caballeros, and I'll give you my thoughts. So we'll start flavour-wise. Flavour-wise, really nice earthiness, like a nice solid earthiness, slight nuttiness, which I like, and that kind of, it's a Cuban earthiness, which is very different to a New World earthiness. It's kind of a nice Cuban earthy flavour. A quick note on construction though, this is not good. Can you see that there? That little canoe that's going on. I didn't want to very quickly reach for my torch lighter, but that's going to become a problem if I don't solve it. And so the torch lighter comes out, And maybe I should have used this to start with, perhaps. But it will be necessary for me to torch just parts of this to make sure we're getting an even burn. Yeah, lovely earthiness, a little bit of leather there, nice nuttiness and a nice woodiness. It's quite nice so far. These cigars, for me, have always been kind of a bit of a standout in the Cuban range for not only value, but also they do have kind of a more New World leaning palette to them. Now, this one in particular is lighter at initial light than the other Piedras that I've had. The thinner ring gauge Piedras, because I believe it's the thickest at 48. The Conservas is a 44. The Cremas, I don't actually know what the ring size on the Cremas is. A 40, so. And then the Brevas, I believe, is a 42. Yeah, the Brevas is a 42. And the Cazadores is a 43. This is the thickest ring gauge, and I think because of that, we're not getting as much wrapper as we are filler. And I think the wrapper is what gives you the majority of that medium flavour on the Piedra. Because it is, for Cuban standards, I think quite a dark wrapper. The wrapper on this is quite rustic, as you can see. It's quite knobbly, quite veiny, not super colour-wise. It's not like all one colour. You know, you've got different shades in there. You know, you can see kind of big vein lines. I don't know if you can see that there. There's a big vein line there. They're rough cigars. That's part of why I love them. And that's different. That's a choice to make them like this, because Quintero don't do this, Flor de Caño don't do this, but Piedra does, and I think that's because these are the cheapest. Outside of Guantanamera, which are machine made, these are the cheapest hand rolled Cuban cigars you can buy on the market in the UK. Now, Quintero isn't badly priced. Flor de Caño isn't badly priced, or they only do have one regular production line of cigar. But these are the cheapest. For £12.75, you're looking at a very cheap. £12.50, sorry. As a cheap cigar for this size. And then if you go down, the Petit Cazadores is a £7.50 cigar. It's a 4x43. It's a lovely smoke. I really like those. I think they're a really nice 40 minute smoke. And they do last 40 minutes. You can make them, they can last not as long. But I find they last 40 minutes. I'm a reasonably slow smoker. They probably last a lot of people 30. But they're the same size as the Petit Quintero, which is a very similar size cigar. And then, like, if I have a look very quickly at the cost of a Petit Quintero, I mean, we're looking at more than £7.50. I'm not going to say loads more, but more. Quintero, £11.20. Now, you can argue that the Quintero cigars, they use tobacco from Vuelta al Bajo, which is supposedly better. And They're rolled slightly better. They're not as rough. They are better cigars. I don't think that's true. I think Quinteros are nice, but I think they are basically in the same region as Jose El Piedras in terms of quality and in terms of flavour, and I think these are just cheaper. But yeah, first third here, it is really nice. Just earthy, slightly woody, slightly nutty. Not really any spice to speak of. Good leather. It does have, for me, kind of a New World flavour profile, kind of a nice medium-bodied New World flavour profile. Maybe not a Nicaraguan, not a Nicaraguan cigar. It's quite sweet, but maybe like a medium-bodied Dominican cigar, but with a Cuban earthiness to it. I will be back when we are about halfway through, and I'll let you know how the cigar's going. What's there to say? If there's any changes, and that this video, this first portion of the video has gone quite long, so I will see you in just a second. So we are basically past the first third now, getting into that juicy second third. This has, you know what, since I topped it up with my torch lighter, this has burnt nigh on perfectly. Actually, I mean, it's slightly wavy, but it's basically perfect. That is a really nice looking white ash as well. So construction wise, for a Cuban cigar, it's been perfect. Now I'm going to knock this ash off because I don't want it going all over my desk and even worse, potentially over my computer. So a little tap off there. And we've got a kind of little cone, which is a good sign. Flavour wise, it has been really pleasant. I've been smoking this now for about 20 to 25 minutes. Really pleasant. It's not picked up in strength, which I was kind of looking for. Having smoked other Piedras, they do tend to pick up a little bit in strength. This has been a solid medium-bodied smoke, but with a really nice kind of creaminess to the smoke. The smoke's not been dry. And it's been quite a nice contrast pairing with this Bordeaux that I'm drinking, which I'll give you a very quick wine review. It smells of wine. You know, it's blackcurrant and stuff like that. That's lovely. Lovely red fruits. A little bit of leather in this, which is nice because it comes with this. But when I say contrast, this is a Bordeaux. It's quite tannic. It's not a super. It's quite a young Bordeaux as well. It's 4 years old. 2021, 4 years old. So it's quite a young Bordeaux still. So it's quite tannic, which means your mouth gets quite dry. But this has quite a nice creamy smoke, which I find doesn't dry out the mouth. Now, as with all Cuban cigars, you don't get loads and loads of smoke. I'm yet to smoke a Cuban cigar where I get the same level of smoke output as the New World. And I was stuck on picking a cigar for today to smoke. It's a Saturday, you know, and I was debating between this and my Paul Arañaga Galanes, which I think is probably a better smoke, double the price of this cigar. Or potentially one of the New Worlds I have. But I decided I'd pick this up, and I'm quite happy I did, because it's good Cuban flavour, with a nice bit of sweetness to it, a nice creamy smoke, good construction, no changes, which I didn't expect much changes in the cigar. Just short filler doesn't change as much as long filler, just the way it goes. Short filler is a bunch of different leaves. It's not one leaf, so the chances of you having a more consistent product is higher. Flavor profiles being more consistent cigar to cigar, but in terms of that nice evolution of flavor, it doesn't happen because the oils in the tobacco aren't there. in the same way that they are with a long filler cigar. Like the earthiness, the leather, the slight sweetness is all great and all. But I smoked on Thursday, 2 days ago, I had a Vegueros Centrofinos. And I thought that was a really nice cigar. That had some construction issues, unfortunately. But flavour-wise, and that was quite expensive as well. I think it was a 20-something pound cigar. But flavour-wise, it had evolution. The flavours were they were richer and deeper and had more going on. There was more to chew flavour out-wise. And I find with a short filler cigar like this, even as someone who supports and pushes short filler cigars, they're not something that I'm actually smoking as much of these days because they don't have that evolution. They don't have that really nice deepness to the flavour. Long filler cigars do a lot of the time. They do a job, they do a good job, and I think they have a place in everyone's humidor. For me, after speaking out the construction on this, I do need to top it up. And it's probably because I've tapped the ash off, to be fair. But for me, I'm smoking this on a Saturday, but this could potentially be a midweek smoke. This is the type of cigar that maybe if I'm gifting a cigar to someone who doesn't smoke cigars, or something like that, or if I'm just giving cigars out at an event or something, these are a good option because they're not too how would I say it? They're not too expensive, and they know it's a cigar. They feel like they're smoking a cigar. They're not there to delve into the flavour the same way that somebody who really enjoys cigars does. That said, the flavour on this has been lovely so far, and for getting basically half an hour of smoke out, by the way, we've probably still got another 20 to 30 minutes at least of smoking. So a good hour long smoke by the looks of it, 58 minutes to an hour probably on this cigar so far. I will be back when we're down by the band, about to take the band off. I'll give you my final review, my final thoughts and my review score on the Petit Caballeros. See them. Let me tell you something. We're down to the end of this cigar now. We're down to the last third. Solidly into the last third as well, as you can see. It's been about 55 minutes, close to an hour, as I expected. The strength of this cigar has gone like this, like this, like this, and then up. It has been a reasonably medium, solid medium, creamy, earth leather, nice rounded sweetness, a reasonable smoke. A cigar that I would actually recommend potentially in the morning to something that has punch to it, something that you feel every time you smoke it. I'm going to take a puff now and I'm going to let you know exactly what I'm getting at the end of this cigar. There's a spice now at the front of the tongue and the back of the throat. That earth and leather have punched. There's no more sweetness. That nice nuttiness I was getting at the start, gone. And it's earth, leather with a spice to it. Still a Cuban earthiness, but punched up. And this is what I remember Piedras being like from smoking many and many of them. They all have this big punch to them. Now, this has happened because obviously, as I said, you don't get those complex changes of flavour throughout the cigar as you would with a normal long filler cigar. But we're still burning tobacco in. The wrapper leaf is still one leaf. And even though the filler's short filler, it's still Cuban tobacco. And so the oils are backing up, and we've got to the point now where maybe they've not backed up during the cigar to give you a nice evolution of flavour, but they've backed up to the point where we're now at the end and we're getting some strength. Now, I like a strong cigar. I'm a fan of a very nice dark wrapper. What we get from this, at this point of the cigar, with that spice, is almost a slight bitter quality as well, which is indicative of young tobacco, because not all short filler has a bitter flavour. What has a bitter flavour in cigars, what has that kind of, acrid and bitter flavour to it, is youth. Youth, bad for cigars. Basically all cigars. You don't want youth in your tobacco. You want old tobacco, generally. Not ancient tobacco, not vintage tobacco, but old tobacco. And this is young tobacco, and you can tell. That creaminess isn't there either. And now it's kind of drying my mouth out. That is a sign of young tobacco, of acrid, bitter tobacco. That's not to say this cigar is horrible to smoke at this point, but we are getting close to the end of the cigar. But for an hour's smoke, for £12.50, to get that Cuban flavour, that nice earthy Cuban twang, to get nuttiness, if I was to attribute it, I'd say hazelnut, to get a nuttiness to the cigar, but I'd say hazelnut because of the sweetness, leather, Cuban earthiness, and a nice bit of wood throughout the cigar as well, and then to end it with a bit of a punch, a bit of strength and a bit of spice. For £12.50 for this size of cigar, I think is totally reasonable. I don't think you go out of your way and you pick up one of these cigars expecting it to be the greatest thing you ever smoked. You pick it up and smoke it expecting to have a decent, medium to full, how do I describe it? Medium to full country style cigar. Something that, you could smoke on a walk or on a windy day, or when you don't particularly, want to get out your more expensive cigars, but when you want to have a nice quality smoke. For me, we're very close to the end of this cigar, but it has offered me a really nice smoking experience in the hour that I've smoked it in. And I think, again, for £12.50, you can't complain. Would I buy a box of 12 of these? Probably not. Probably not, to be honest. I think, for me, personally, where I am in my smoking journey, I'm trying to buy less cheap cigars, and especially less cheap cigars in bulk. And I'm trying to smoke better. That doesn't mean I'm not going to buy value cigars. I will still buy value cigars. But it'll be one or two value cigars to bulk out larger orders, as opposed to buying lots of value cigars. And again, there are New World cigars cheaper than this, that are bigger than this, that I think offer better flavour. I smoked on Thursday a Playa Maderas. It's a GQ tobacco brand. Their Maduro in a Gordo. It was a 6x60. That cigar is £10.75. It's cheaper than this cigar. It's Nicaraguan. And it was a beautiful smoke. A really, really nice cigar. For the price, for the size of smoke, it was beautiful. There was a YouTube short on my channel where I do a quick review of it. For me, I'm getting kind of a dryness at the back of the throat. If you've smoked and if you've got to the end of a cigar and got acrid flavour and you got kind of that dry bitterness at the back of your throat, you know what I'm talking about. As far as experiences go, that's what cigars are about, and that's how I base my ratings. Not just off flavour, but also off value and also off overall experience. The construction on this cigar was great. I thought it was really good for a Cuban cigar. I had 2 times I topped it up. That was it. The ash hadn't fallen off. It's drawn perfectly. Construction's been great. Flavour-wise, it's been okay. It's been decent. We're getting to the end of the cigar. It had no evolution, but it was good flavour. And now it's had a bit of evolution and it's getting into bad flavour. All that combined, I think this is a solid 7 out of 10 cigar. I think you take value into account. Yeah, it's above average. I think 7 out of 10 is completely fair. If you've never had anything from Jose El Piedra, this wouldn't be my first choice. I think the Petit Cetros, which is, but I think it's about £10 a cigar. That's a 5x38. Or the Petit Cazadores, which, as I said, is £7.50. Both of those would be my choice. I think they're great value, and I think they give you a bit better of a show of the brand because they're stronger from the get-go than this. And you get kind of that stronger flavour without the acridness. With all that, this has been a longer video, but we like that. If you want the quick review for this, I don't know why. If you watched all the way here and you want to see the minute review of this, I posted a short yesterday of this cigar, as I do with everything. But with that, I hope everyone has a good rest of your week. There'll be a video out on Thursday as normal. As always, stay smoky, folks. I'll see you later.